Hello, you awakened wonder that dared to dream. Welcome to today's inspired message. Today I'm going to talk about the spiritual ambition towards expansion, towards the macro collective ambition of transforming the unknown into the known, and the journey in our lifetimes, in our individual lifetimes, to integrate new ideas, to embrace moments of discomfort and struggle for the ultimate aim of progression and expansion. We want to do our best in our own individual lives to take the path towards growth, towards expansion. We want to do our best to avoid stagnating and protecting outdated ideas and beliefs. This is the route towards fulfilling your greatest potential and your fullest expression. And then it will be important along the way to nurture your egoic dimension in this pursuit, i.e., managing or reconciling the difference between the higher and the lower, i.e., the spirit and the ego, because the ego will naturally find it tough to embrace the ideals of a spiritual basis, which comprises of expansion and growth, over time, growing an uptick direction, an uptick trajectory towards a higher ideal than its current present state. And along this process will be a consistent dance with the dimension of creation and destruction, which is the the kryptonite of ego, as the ego wants to protect and preserve and remain in its current state always. So along that long-term uptick trajectory founded on the practice of creation and destruction, you'll have to, on the other hand, nurture the ego, which isn't going to be so friendly to this aim. But that doesn't mean that you shame or resist your egoic essence, because it is as much a part of you as your spirit. So you are in a long-term relationship with your spirit and your ego, and you need to facilitate them equally. And in doing so, you fulfill your role as a divine mediator, because you're always, knowingly or unknowingly, in a relationship with them and hearing the perspectives from both parts of your expression. And so ultimately, if you take anything from this video, it should be the idea of integrating new ideas. To integrate new ideas is to integrate a new perspective and ultimately to broaden your horizon. This will allow you to move beyond a perceived plateau, because in life it can be very easy to just to say, well, I've achieved what I want to achieve, I've done what I can, and then a lot of people just effectively retire from life, the lights are on, but no one's at home, because ultimately they're going around living their lives, but they've retired, and they've just basically decided that they've reached a point where they don't want to engage in the adventure towards growth and expansion, which ultimately is, and ultimately by doing so you engage in the dimension of the spiritual and your spirit, and can provide life in the lifeless, and hope in the hopeless, and give you renewed inspiration and vigor. So even though you may egoically perceive and define your life as being finished, accomplished, done, there are always levels unknown to the mind that can be achieved if you open yourself up to new ideas. Initially open yourself up to the practice of opening yourself up to new ideas, because before you can open yourself up to a new idea, you have to form a relationship with the practice, because the outcome isn't so clear, and it varies, to I don't want to express this. To open yourself up to a new idea requires, well, as I said, it requires a total commitment to creation and destruction. So the destructive element is a recycling of your previously integrated idea, and so you then, in doing so, complete that level and open yourself up to a higher level. And once you reach that level, you then destroy that, which then opens yourself up to a new level. And so there's this sort of creation, death, and then when you creation again, you're creating from a higher perspective than your previous perspective. And so the trajectory is there, but in that trajectory is the practice of, or the relationship to the practice of, being willing to sacrifice what you have recently learned for something greater, which, when you fight and you suffer and you give everything to integrate a certain idea that gives you a higher perspective and a higher state of consciousness and a better quality of life internally and externally. And then you have a choice, do you remain in that state because, it's, your ego's giving you, your ego's singing succulent symphonies of comfort, saying, we've made it this far, we can extract great amount of value out of this current state. There's no need to sacrifice anymore. What we've done is already what most people haven't done. There's all these endless excuses coming out, to preserve and maintain what you've got. But if you are prepared to sacrifice even what you've given everything for, if you are prepared to sacrifice that, in that you invite new ideas into your life. And as I said earlier, that comes in varying and unexpected ways. You can't control that outcome. That manifestation occurs once you sacrifice that ideal. Then there's no clear path how you integrate new ideas. You have to sacrifice it, which takes time to act. Because you may think, oh well, I've sacrificed it now, but there's layers to that sacrificial practice. So. But once that has been completed, then, in unexpected ways, as I said, new ideas will emerge, and it'll be up to you to be prepared, and to be prepared by being aware, and by listening, and by being present, you know, by not, because to listen and to be present is to accept that you don't know. If you're trying to seek and integrate new ideas, if you're trying to seek and integrate new ideas, but based upon things that you want, well, that doesn't make sense, because they wouldn't be new if it was what you wanted. What you want and what you're trying to integrate is something new, is something you don't know. So you can't go into that process projecting, oh, I want this and I want that. You know, you're not going to get that, are you? Because you're not going to get anything new, is what I'm trying to say. To get something new, you have to sacrifice what you have already integrated and sacrifice your projections of something new, even though any projection of something new is founded on something old. So you have to sacrifice both the idea and the projections of the new, and to be open and empty and present. And if you do that for long enough, the right idea and the right moment will emerge. And then you begin the new process, the new adventure towards integrating a new idea that then creates an entire new world, a possibility and opportunities. And that ultimately is the micro version of the macro, you know, in terms of the idea of expansion, the idea of transforming the unknown into the known. You know, it's a collective consciousness, collective state of consciousness over time through infinite timelines and infinite lifetimes. We are exploring different dimensions and different layers of the unknown, trying to shine light on them, trying to learn from them. So in your own life, if you can take upon you the same practice to dance with the unknown, to sit and to linger in the unknown, to listen to it, and to expose yourself to it, will prove fruitful, because ultimately it allows you to reach beyond what you believe is possible. And that is important, because humanity has evolved not based on what it did know, but based upon humanity achieved what it did based upon faith, for the most part. It wasn't a clear-cut process. Humanity's progress and where we are today has been built on a lot of actions on faith, you know, a lot. You know, humans as we are limited in a lot of ways, and our progress has occurred through struggle. It's been messy, it's been chaotic, it's been a lot of the actions have been based on a faith-based ideal that things can be better. You know, we didn't know exactly how they could be better, and in what way that would look better. But through faith and the willingness to engage with the unknown, we are where we are today, based on that chaotic and uncertain history. You know, and we still face that. You still face that today. And yes, with technology, we can be seduced into the temptation that we don't need to bother anymore. We've reached a level of existence where we don't need to push the boundaries. We don't need to engage with unknown territory. But where's a sense of adventure in that? That sort of life can only be enjoyable for so long before things get incredibly boring. So ignite the sense of adventure within your soul and your spirit, and walk the path that most will not, in order to gain what others will not. And with that, until next time, bye.